Today on the Rose Experience, I want to talk to you about a franchise that has spanned 25 years, a franchise that personifies an entire genre. That's right, everyone, Street Fighter. Now, with the latest iteration announced, and it already coming out and being beta tested all across the globe, and with EVO on the horizon, I want to take a minute to spend some time with a couple things that aren't addressed too much in Street Fighter. Now, we all know that Street Fighter has the deepest mechanics in the genre, arguably. From Street Fighter 2's adding Super, to the Alphas and their isms, to Street Fighter 3 adding an entire parry system. Each one of these deep and varied gameplay systems have made sure that every iteration is not like the next. But that's not what we're going to talk about today. Yes, the gameplay mechanics are deep and varied and nuanced, but we're going to talk about something that isn't given a lot of attention in Street Fighter. That's the story and the characters. In the past, story's always been an afterthought in fighting games, but recently, in games such as BlazBlue, Mortal Kombat, Injustice, they've brought back fully fleshed out stories in order to grab gamers and pull them in right from the get-go. Training stages aren't enough these days, and Street Fighter has this expansive lore and fully fleshed out set of characters with interweaving relationships. But unfortunately, they've left most of the heavy lifting to comics, books, kickstarted anime series, as well as live action series, as recently as the Street Fighter Assassin's Fist. This is where Street Fighter has failed over the years, and now I want to show you how story and characters could easily be implemented and add so much more to the rich history and lore that Street Fighter has. First, I want to deal with the characters. Everyone knows about the original 8, from Ryu to Ken to Blanka to Zangief. They come from all across the world, all different walks of life. They all have a story, some straight edge, some wacky. But what Street Fighter does and handles their characters has been a little lackluster. Again, the heavy lifting is left to series and comic books and mangas. Ken and Ryu have a master. Originally it was Shenlong, now it's Gouken. Gouken's been brought back into the games. But how does their character arc end? Where does it begin? Have we figured out exactly what happens? No, really over the last decade or so, there's no explanation as to what happens. Ryu's still a wandering warrior. He's still sort of looking for the perfect opponent. Is still wondering what happened with his master. And that's just one character. Ryu also has another side, Evil Ryu, which is implemented in the arcade edition of Street Fighter 4 recently. What is that, a canon arc? Or is that his true arc? Has the Dark Hado taken hold of Ryu with the influence from Akuma? And let's touch on, again, that brings Akuma into the fold as well, who plays into their character arc. Do Ryu and Akuma have a climactic battle? Who won? Will Street Fighter V deal with that? Who knows how, we already know how Ryu looks, but what I would have preferred to see is a Ryu with the outcome decided of that battle. Possibly, Akuma beat him. Ryu's down on his luck. He's turned to the drink. Maybe he masters a new style of art with the Antetsuken has failed him in his quest to be the most popular and best fighter in the world. He's turned to the drink. Maybe Drunken Fist is the new way of Ryu. And Ken has taken on the leading student with Gouken and has followed in his master's ways. I don't know, the possibilities are endless here, but I think you get exactly what I'm talking about. Now let's just go, for example, to another staple of the series, Chun-Li. She was a police officer chasing M.Bison for crimes against her village and her family, Shadow Lu. We don't even know if Shadow Lu is still existing in the latest iteration. I think with Shadow Lu being gone, that would be fantastic. It opens up M.Bison, for instance, to have a brand new character arc. He is the one character in the new game that has shown some sort of character progression just from visual style alone. And I know it well, the graying hair to the side. I mean, in and of itself, that tells us a story. There is a story there. Show us some more. Now, getting back to Chun-Li, is she still a police officer? If she is, what is she chasing? Aesthetically, she still just looks the same as she always has, from Street Fighter 2 to Street Fighter Alpha. Now, costume swaps are fine, but they only work for how you're playing. What is the story behind these? That's what I want to explore in the new Street Fighter. And it plays into a little bit more than you think. What pulls you to the characters that you play? Do you associate with Rufus? Are you a little chubby? Is he a little goofy and that's you? There's a myriad reasons of why we play the characters we play in fighting games. They could be cute. They could be aggressive. They're ferocious. They just look cool. I don't know. But give us more. Give us a fully fleshed out story. Maybe like NetherRealms is implemented in Mortal Kombat and Injustice. But live up to the lore that you have put out there with your characters. It's not enough to let the comic books do the heavy lifting. Let the game who created it do it as well. Another aspect that can add a story without a story and inject personality to the characters is something that's been overlooked in recent editions, and that's individualized character stages. Alpha and Alpha, or the entire Alpha series really, did this excellent with a stage representing each character, as well as stages that represented stories and tales and scenarios that actually happened between two characters, such as the iconic Ryu and Sagat battle from Street Fighter 1. And we all know that with the windy grass and the lightning crashing down. Why not have more of these? Street Fighter 4 was really missing the boat. It's not enough to just to have them fighting in downtown China or on some random fishing boat in Thailand. What is the story behind that, and what do those stages mean? Implementing individual characters or character stages will inject just that extra bit of personality the characters have been missing. And how do we successfully add all these things? Through a fully fleshed out single player campaign, highlighting certain characters that show off each aspect of the gameplay system, from nimble characters like Chun-Li to grapplers like Zangief, and your tried and true bread and butter like Ryu, and Ken if he ends up being in Street Fighter 5, that is. And any other frill modes you want to add in as well. Let's say we add the career mode back in from Alpha 3. Everyone loves it, and it's a glaring omission ever since. Now the possibilities are endless here, but I think you get my drift. I've only touched on a select few characters, and as we know, the roster goes out until almost the 40s these days. Who knows how they'll handle that in Street Fighter 5, but with giving each arc and character the same attention that I just gave previously, I think Street Fighter will be in a great place to attract itself and ingratiate itself to a new fan base, rather than the few that are already there and salivate over the deep gameplay systems. Now I know story and characters aren't exactly the sexy topic in Street Fighter. Deep gameplay mechanics are. But just look at it this way, guys. Even if it's not your bag, it'll have a whole new set of fodder for you to pump up your online rankings with. Now before I go, I think there's just one more thing that might make Street Fighter V the absolute best fighting game the genre has ever seen. Now I'm confident I know exactly what the next Street Fighter needs. A new combatant for a new game. And that is a Canadian Street Fighter, eh?
Here comes a new challenger!
Fight! Perfect! You win!
Then again, maybe not. Now that's just my opinion, and if you feel the same way, why not share the video? And let's not let Capcom get away with Street Fighter being another lackluster entry in terms of story and character. Let's bring new fans into the fold. And if you feel the same way I do, subscribe for more of these videos. And thanks for tuning in for another episode of The Rose Experience, everyone. Wata!
Hadouken!